It was October 3rd, 2025. The air in Suzhou felt electric, humid, heavy, and filled with the sound of an expectant crowd. Alex Eala, just 19 years old, stepped onto the court with fire in her eyes and the pride of an entire nation behind her. This wasn't just another quarterfinal. For the Philippines, this was history in motion. Their rising tennis prodigy taking on one of the sport's most seasoned veterans, Switzerland's Viktorija Golubic. No one could have guessed that what began as a match about skill and heart would end up sparking one of the biggest controversies of the entire WTA season. Because that day, the line between fair play and manipulation blurred in ways tennis hadn't seen in years. Was this a tactical masterclass or a calculated act of gamesmanship that robbed a young player of her chance to shine? From the very first serve, it was clear Alex came to fight. Her movements were sharp, her forehand crisp, her confidence radiating across the court. Within minutes, she had turned a slow start into an explosive run, winning 3 games in a row. The crowd could feel the shift. This young Filipina was taking control. But just as the rhythm built, just as momentum started to tilt decisively in Alex's favor, everything stopped. Out of nowhere, Viktorija Golubic called for a medical timeout. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Alex had just seized command of the first set. The energy was hers. And suddenly, play halted. Trainers stepped onto the court. The clock ticked. What should have been a routine medical break stretched to nearly 6 minutes. 6 long, silent minutes that cooled Alex's fire and killed every ounce of rhythm she'd built. When play finally resumed, Alex's momentum was gone. Her serves lost bite. Her footwork stiffened. The intensity that had electrified the arena had evaporated into confusion and frustration. And the crowd could feel it. This wasn't just about recovery. It was about control. But that was only the beginning. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary match. But when analysts reviewed the data, the truth became impossible to ignore. Golubic's average time between points that day? 34 seconds. Her season average before that match? 26. An 8-second delay doesn't sound like much until you realize there were over 100 points played. That's 13 extra minutes, 13 minutes of dead time, where Alex Eala was forced to wait, breathe, and slowly lose the rhythm that had made her dangerous. 13 minutes where her body cooled down, her muscles tightened, and her momentum slipped away. This wasn't fatigue. This wasn't coincidence. It was strategy, subtle, deliberate, and devastating. Alex's camp later compiled those numbers and presented them to WTA officials, showing clear deviations from Golubic's normal pace of play. The numbers didn't lie. The delays were too consistent, too calculated. The chair umpire did issue 2 time violations, but they came late in the second set, long after the damage was done. And anyone watching knew exactly what was happening. Because this wasn't the first time Viktorija Golubic's tactics had raised eyebrows. For months earlier, at a tournament in Monterrey, she'd been accused of doing the same thing, calling a medical timeout just as her opponent seized momentum. That time, she escaped with nothing more than a written warning. Officials cited insufficient evidence of intentional delay. But when the same pattern repeats itself, the same conveniently timed breaks, the same slow pace between points, at what point does insufficient evidence become willful blindness? Fans began digging through old matches, finding eerie similarities, long pauses, drawn-out chats with umpires, perfectly timed disruptions that broke the rhythm of faster, younger players. What had once been dismissed as coincidence now looked like a signature move. And this time, the target was a teenager representing an entire country. As soon as the match ended, footage began circulating online. Commentators froze clips, highlighted timestamps, and pointed out the deliberate delays. Within hours, #JusticeForAlex was trending across social media. Tennis fans from around the world voiced their anger. Comment sections filled with disbelief and outrage. This isn't tennis. This is manipulation. Sports analysts began debating live on air. Some defended Golubic, saying tactics are part of the game. Others were blunt. There's a difference between strategy and sabotage. Even neutral fans could feel it. The flow of the match had been broken not by better play, but by interruptions. And as emotions flared online, one question echoed louder than any other. How could this be allowed to happen? But while fans were furious, Alex Eala herself handled the situation differently. Midway through the second set, something changed this time, not because of mind games, but because of pain. Alex clutched her left leg, grimacing as she tried to push through the point. The crowd fell silent. Unlike the earlier timeout, this was real. Trainers rushed in, working on her leg for 7 full minutes. The difference was visible. There was no acting, no stalling. Alex was fighting through genuine pain. When she returned to play, she could barely move the same way, yet she refused to quit. Every shot, every serve, every rally was a battle against her own body. And even as she limped, even as the score turned against her, she kept swinging for herself, for her fans, for her flag. This was what true professionalism looked like: grace under pressure, honor in defeat. Because while Golubic was using every loophole to win, Alex was showing the world what it meant to fight with heart. When the final point was played, Golubic won 6-2, 7-6. On paper, it looked like a clean victory. But those numbers tell you nothing about what really happened. After the match, Golubic skipped most press responsibilities, offering only a brief statement where she brushed off criticism as unfair. She defended her medical timeout as necessary and refused to comment on the pacing data. Then she left. No reflection. No accountability. Meanwhile, Alex Eala faced the press with composure. She didn't blame anyone. She thanked her supporters, acknowledged her injury, and spoke with the humility of a true champion. And that moment, her grace in defeat, spoke louder than any scoreboard ever could. Because one player left with a win, the other left with the world's respect. The controversy at Suzhou exposed more than one player's behavior. It revealed the cracks in the entire system. The WTA rulebook allows medical timeouts of up to 6 minutes, even when the timing seems suspicious. Time violations exist, but enforcement is inconsistent. A veteran who knows the system can bend it to her advantage, all while staying technically within the rules. But just because something is legal doesn't make it right. These loopholes turn tennis, a sport built on rhythm, respect, and competition, into something else entirely. They punish the aggressive, the fast, the emotional players who thrive on flow. They protect those who manipulate pace, twist momentum, and weaponize the rulebook. In Suzhou, a 19-year-old rising star was robbed of her rhythm not by skill, but by strategy that had nothing to do with tennis. And the tennis world noticed. Calls for rule reviews spread across forums and sports media. Analysts began demanding stricter time enforcement and clearer guidelines for medical breaks. Because if tennis continues to allow this kind of gamesmanship, what message does it send to the next generation of players? That winning matters more than integrity? That exploiting the gray areas is smarter than playing fair? The match at Suzhou wasn't just about Alex Eala. It was about what the sport wants to be. Despite the loss, Alex's story didn't end in Suzhou, it only grew louder. Clips of her resilience went viral. Commentators praised her composure. Fans from every corner of the globe rallied behind her, recognizing not just her talent, but her integrity. Because Alex Eala isn't just another young player. She's the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam title, capturing the 2022 U.S. Open Girls Singles Championship at just 17. She trains at Rafael Nadal's academy in Spain, a place that values discipline and honor above all else. She's represented her country at the Southeast Asian Games, becoming a symbol of pride for millions of Filipinos who now tune in to every match she plays. She's proof that you can lose a match and still win something far greater. And that's why Suzhou wasn't a defeat, it was a statement. It showed the world who Alex really is, resilient, determined, and unshakably honest in a sport that sometimes forgets what fairness looks like. Because when the cameras stop rolling and the scoreboards fade, character is what remains. The Suzhou Open will be remembered for its controversy, for the medical timeouts, the slow play, the broken rhythm. But beneath all of that, it revealed something far more important. that in a world where players can twist the rules, true integrity still exists. Viktorija Golubic may have won the match, but Alex Eala won something the scoreboard can't measure: the admiration of fans, the respect of peers, and the role of symbol for every young athlete who believes in fair play. Because sometimes, victory isn't about lifting the trophy. It's about how you play when the game turns against you. Maybe the final score said 6-2, 7-6. But the story of Sujo Walal